from Boston and beyond. Heat981fm.com and iHeartStation.
Tonight's episode of Conversations with Coach La is brought to you by Virtual Services by Shamina Austin. Do you need to delegate some tasks, or are you looking to declutter a space? Well, assign it to her. Introducing Virtual Services by Shamina Austin. She's currently accepting new clients and offers a variety of back office services depending on your needs. Contact Shamina at 857-273-1528, 857-273-1528, or email shaminaaustin@gmail.com for more information.
Conversations with Coach La.
Coach La, your favorite neighborhood therapist, having real hard convos, contrasting pessimists. Generational trauma explored, broach delicate, getting to the root of the pain, healing impediments. Every week signs copay, free lessons. Bet on self, trust the process, no questions. Feel your feels, journey to be healed, no stressing. Conversations with Coach La's now in session.
Something on your mind, you can call in, you can hit a line. She the realest, ooh, she the realest. You can tap in, loud, or get a business to empower you, so that you can do every and anything that you want to. Kicking it with Coach LA, it's time to listen to conversations that's gonna keep you winning. Sunday nights at 10 p.m. on the Urban Eat, just call in. Conversations with Coach La 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 Coach La 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 La.
What's going on, all you wonderful, beautiful people out there? How y'all feel? How y'all feel? Welcome to another episode of Conversations with Coach La La La. Look at me breaking the daggone microphone. Good Lord Jesus. Good Lord Jesus. What did I do, y'all? The whole thing just came on. Oh my gosh. I don't know what I just did, y'all. I ain't never seen that happen. Oh my goodness. Ooh, I didn't have all kinds of things happen tonight, but that's the first time I ever had that happen. So yeah, how y'all feeling? It's gonna be an interesting night. So y'all know that I have been doing a lot of great things. So shout out to Vic Breedy and the Selfish Women's Group. Today we did our group that we do pretty much quarterly. So shout out to everybody who attended that. I also had an opportunity to go to the Black Joy Day hosted by Java with Jimmy. And I tell you, that was an amazing experience down at the ICA. I was like, wow, I never had been there before. And it was a beautiful exhibit. I got a chance to see some really cool art. And yeah, it was a good time. And it's been one of those moments where the summer is starting to wind down and life has been life, and so for so many people and a lot of my clients too, seasonal depression is real. People are getting very unhappy that the season is changing. But I like fall, don't really care too much for winter. But we are really excited about the things we got coming up at the radio station, because we have the Urban Escape on the Cape that is going down in December. You guys might have seen that we're starting to put out some flyers about the acts and the different things that are going to be coming. And I'm super excited about this trip. We did it last year, and you can get book your rooms on heat981fm.com. It's going to be a great experience, from comedy to poetry to the gala to the pajama party, the silent party. I mean, we just got it all covered. It's a great family event that you absolutely do not want to miss. Now, I am waiting on my guest, y'all. I know that she is finishing up with her event that she has in Philly. So she's going to be logging in anytime now. So we have tonight, we're going to have two-time Grammy nominated spoken word artist, Queen Sheba. So I'm going to tell you more about her because she definitely will be logging in. I know she's running a little late from her event that she has going down in Philly. They're doing an open mic night tonight in Philly. And as you guys know about live shows, it doesn't always end on time. So she will be here. So for all you guys that are tuned in and looking forward to seeing Queen Sheba, she is definitely coming. So don't worry about that. She's just wrapping up with what she got to do. If you've ever been to any of her shows live, which I have been to 3 hip hop versus poetry shows here at the City Winery in Boston, and they were absolutely phenomenal shows. So you guys definitely want to make sure that you don't miss her when she brings that show back to Boston. We also have our very own VCR, who is going to be doing a show also at the City Winery coming up really soon, and his tickets are also on sale, so you guys don't want to miss that. I want to make sure I get the right date for y'all as we wait for my guest. So he is doing the second go round at the City Winery. This is VCR. He also is one of the hosts of Mic Check 1212 that comes on Mondays, and that is going down Sunday, September 21st at the City Winery. So y'all might check that out too. She here yet? No, not yet. So we got that going on as well. And it's just been a really nice time connecting with the community. Today at the Selfish Women's Group, something that we did that I thought was absolutely phenomenal is that we talked about giving and we talked about gratitude. And we had to write letters to someone who has shown up for us. And I thought that that was something that made us all sit and pause for a second and think about life and think about folks that you don't have to ask to show up for you and how they just show up for you when you least expect it. And yeah, so that was a great experience. Shout out to Vic Breedy again. She did a wonderful job facilitating the Selfish Women's Group today. And I enjoyed it a lot. I really, really did. And all the ladies, shout out to my new friend, Lisa. Hey, Lisa, I think you also were tuned in earlier and shared the post, so I appreciate you. But yeah, it's been a great summer thus far. It's been so many great things going on in the city, and we couldn't have been more thankful. Some of you know that this particular week we voted, and there's a lot going on in the city. Shout out to Josh Kraft. He actually dropped out of the mayor race. So right now, Dominguez is trying to do a recount, and it's just a lot of stuff going on in politics. It's a very interesting time, I would say, in our world in terms of leadership. So we don't know what's going to happen in Boston, but as of right now, Mayor Wu pretty much has it in the bag. So, shout out to Mayor Wu. I mean, at this point, there's no competition. She pretty much has won because Josh dropped out. So I don't know what's going to happen, but it's something to see. It's definitely something to watch as we navigate these terrain. Something that also I want to quickly talk about because I don't really know what happened, but today I saw a really disturbing video, and it made me think about the state of the world. And it happened on the 28 bus today. Mike Dees posted it. I also saw a couple other people talking about it, but a young lady pushed the old lady off the bus. And I'm not really sure what was going on there, but I just want to really pray for the world and pray for us to be a little kinder and a little nicer, especially with, you just never really know what people are going through. And that video was very disturbing because you wonder what was going on with the young lady. Definitely seemed like she was ready to get off the bus and the lady was blocking her way. And yeah, she just pushed her off the bus. And I just I felt for her, I felt for the old lady, I felt for everyone watching it, and just how frustrated we can be when our backs are up against the wall. And tonight's episode is all about that, right? We're talking about heal people don't act like that. And it just made me think about all of the trauma and the things that we go through in the world, and how those things shape our personalities and can trigger us to do things that if we weren't already stressed, overwhelmed, and feeling frustrated, we might choose to do something different. So I think it was Boston May. She was just saying, what's going on? What is really happening, and what's causing people to feel that way. And she was saying, back in the day, we were raised with respect, and the world was different. And I don't know. I think tragic things have been going on for a really long time, and sometimes I think we want peace, and we don't want to see these things. But I wonder if that's possible. I wonder if we'll ever get to a place where we won't see things like that. And because that's what she was saying, like, what can we do? And Mayor Wu has us thinking that the world is such a better place and things are better in Boston. And I think to a certain extent it's better in some ways, but then at the same time it's not better for everyone. And as a clinical social worker and as a therapist, I often ponder this. It's just like, will there ever come a point where people won't need therapy? Will there ever come a time where there won't be cruel, mean, evil people in the world? And when I think about that, I often say I don't know that will ever be the case, because a lot of this behavior is passed down generationally, and to break these generational cycles, there has to be a cycle breaker. Somebody has to decide, what, I'm just not gonna act like that no more. And with that, sometimes there's a lot of you can feel alone, and you can feel as if you are isolated, because who else is doing that, right? Like, if you decide to be different than your family and not act like your family. So you think about racism, right? If you choose to be the one person in your family that's not racist and doesn't engage that way, how do you still come around your family? And for a lot of times, you're still coming around your family even when you don't agree with what they do and what they say, because you love your family. But how do you do it? How do you actually find time, space, and change cycles when the people in your family are not ready to change? And I invite people to call in as we wait for Queen Sheba to log in, and hopefully she'll be logging in soon. She did say she was running about 15 minutes late. You can call in 617-238-7111. How do you think we should handle breaking cycles in this world, in this country, when everybody ain't ready to change? Is it the leadership? Is it, somebody said that the young lady who pushed the woman off the bus needs to be fined, charged, and put in jail. But we also have people saying that jail isn't always the answer. So what do we do? How do we get people who are not ready to heal to heal? What do we do? Whose responsibility is it? Some people say, what she also mentioned, people's kids out in the street cursing, yelling, doing all types of things. And she was like, she's sure that their parents didn't raise them like that. But how do we know that? That's the other thing. Maybe their parents did raise them that way. So what do we do? How do we get change in the world? And whose responsibility is it to do it? Especially if you don't have parents, right? Somebody said, well, that's because fathers are not in the household. Okay, that could be part of it, right? But what about the children who have a two-parent household and loving parents that are still out here acting up? What should we do? How should we handle it? Programming, jobs, we say that that's all going to help, but some people still, with all of those services and resources, still decide to go and live a life of crime, get on drugs, no matter the support. So what do we do? How do we help that? Then someone else sent out a video, and it was a bunch of people that were on fentanyl, that fentanyl fold, and it's just all these people that are just looking like zombies. And I thought about them too. At one point, they weren't on drugs. At one point, these are people's brothers and mothers and sisters and, family that are just out here looking like zombies and they're on drugs. And we'll say, well, where's the family at? Where's the resources? You got to go help them. Some people, you go try to help them and they don't want the help. They don't want to listen. You see people who post things on social media, for instance, and you'll go, oh, where their family at? Nobody's told them that maybe they shouldn't post these things, or they need to take that post down. You'd be surprised how many people tell their family and friends about their posts and they still post it anyway. So what are we supposed to do? How are we supposed to help people who don't want to be helped? And I say that as a therapist, right? People will call and say, hey, they want to refer their family to therapy because they think their family member needs therapy. Family member comes to therapy and they don't want to engage. They don't want to do therapy. I'm only here because my mother told me to come or my wife told me to come. So I'm just curious, whose responsibility is it? How do we handle these situations? Do we need more governance? Do we need more laws? Do we need to put more people in jail? More programming, more therapists. I mean, I'm currently recruiting anybody who wants to be a therapist to who has a MSW and is interested in being a therapist to come and work in my practice, and I can help train and develop you. Do we just need more therapists, more mentors? I don't know, guys. I'm pondering it. I don't know that there's an easy answer to this. I think there's a lot of great people doing a lot of great work to try to change the world and make a positive impact. And despite all of that, there's still things that don't go right. There's a lot of teachers who care and a lot of mentors and a lot of therapists and coaches that are out here doing great work to try to make a difference. And still a lot of evil and people who are just mean in the world. So it saddens me, when I see things like that. It troubles my spirit. I know I can't change the world, so I just try to, well, that's not true. My contribution to the world is to just see one client at a time, one session at a time, one episode at a time, and to encourage people to really think about how are you showing up in the world. So somebody told me, they was like, sometimes they just can't take it anymore, right? And they feel like they want to get their clap back, they want to get their get back, and they feel like they don't want to see people play in their face. And I said to her, I said, there's a lot of people who are in jail right now who wish they could have just taken a moment to pause, to breathe before they made that decision to get their get back, their clap back, and that they wish they would have just walked away. Yeah. Tonight, Coach is in her feelings. I have to say, seeing that video, seeing the woman get pushed off the bus, just got me to thinking. And I've experienced a lot of joy recently. And also, that's the other thing. People have criticized folks for doing things that bring them joy. So were we supposed to just stay sad? Like, are you supposed to march? I know a lot of us are march. A lot of us are signing petitions. We write into our politicians and we are hosting groups and doing advocacy work. A lot of us are doing a lot of work. Are we not supposed to take a break from that and go have moments of joy? Are we not supposed to celebrate the good things in our life? Where's the balance? Where's the balance? Because I get it. Hey, you guys are partying, going to cookout, going to see Charlie Wilson, and you're celebrating, going to the Chris Brown concert, and there's people out there that are hungry or going through hard times. What are you supposed to do if you are donating money, if you holding food pantry, if you go donate and volunteer your time, and you do this consistently? Are you not supposed to have moments of joy? As a therapist, I think I have about 40 clients. I spend a good amount of my time doing groups and mentoring. Am I not supposed to take a break, practice self-care, and have a little bit of joy in my life? How do you have balance? Thank you, Weena. Weena said people have to want to make the commitment to change themselves first. Then family, friends, and counselors can help. Agreed. I think the most challenging thing about helping people change is that they gotta want to change. I'm trying to remember the the lady who said this, but can't remember her name right now. But she was saying that people are not capable of changing, and I disagree. I think that people can change if they want to change, and that's the key. They have to want to change, and sometimes it takes cutting them off, not dealing with them, and unfortunately, loss often is what um, gets people to change. So anyway, I'm on my rant because I'm also just trying to kill a little bit of time so that Queen Sheba can get on here. I was concerned that we might have this issue because she had a show that was supposed to end at 9:30, and I was hoping that this wouldn't happen, that she wouldn't miss the show and we would run late, but here we are. So in any case, if you want to call in and you want to talk about Heal People Don't Act Like That, is what tonight's show is all about. And we are in episode 135. Cannot believe that. And it is season 8, The Power of the Pivot. And we are talking about reclaiming. Last series, we were talking about the rise, right? So it was all about rising above the adversity. And now it's about reclaiming your space, your identity, reclaiming your power, your time. That's what this whole series is all about. And faith is the foundation for healing, especially for addressing generational cycles, right? And those are those things that get kind of passed down throughout your family. You know, that might be gossiping, talking behind each other's back. Maybe, folks, big one, you borrow money, no one gives it back, or, no, people don't really address their feelings, they repress it. Or the cutoff game, people isolate, and, there's a lot of cutting family members off, and you're not invited to the cookout no more because you stood up to family. Or there's deep rooted secrets that cause a lot of shame and guilt that no one wants to talk about, right? These things sometimes can create a lot of adversity and trauma and drama in people's family systems. So tonight we were talking about Heal People Don't Act Like That. One of the things, and Queen Sheba, when she jumps on here, she has a piece that is entitled that. And she talks about, if you are healed, one of the things she said, if your partner's phone is flipped over face down, a healed person doesn't get anxiety about that. But if you've been cheated on, betrayed by a partner, you see that phone flipped over, you got all types of triggers and emotions going on, and you might even cause a whole argument with your partner. And they may not be doing anything, but because of your past, you show up in that relationship carrying that same baggage over into your new relationship, and they may not even get it or understand why that's a trigger for you, especially if you're not really good about expressing some of your past issues and trauma. So that's what we're supposed to talk about tonight. I'm hoping Queen Sheba's gonna come on here any second now. Y'all know my show's only an hour, so I'm not sure what's gonna happen, y'all. This has never happened where we are running this behind, but I'm hoping that she'll be able to pull away any moment now. So all you wonderful people who are expecting to see her will get a chance to talk to her about her new album. I forgot to hit go live on Instagram. All right, there's Instagram. So shout out to everybody who's tuned in on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Twitch, YouTube, and now Instagram. So we are waiting for our guest, and I have opened up the phone line so that if you wanted to call in and talk about Heal People Don't Act Like That. What is one of your situations or your story where you're like, yep, I'm still not healed from that? You got a trigger, you got a situation, you got something that, is a pet peeve that is connected to your past trauma. We are in season 8, The Power of the Pivot. last series, the first series of this season was about the rise. Now we're into the reclaim. So we are reclaiming our identities and our power and our time. And you guys know I'm always talking about betting on yourself. So a lot of breaking cycles has to do with you betting on yourself, right? And that's to believe in yourself, empower yourself, and ultimately to transform your thinking, especially when your thinking is tied to, I think, your upbringing. And I think a big one for me was like, don't really engage with your neighbors. Um, your neighbors are not to be trusted, right? And I don't think everybody's that way, right? But I think that that was something that was passed down from my mom to me. And then there's other people that they are really connected with their neighbors, and everybody, goes to each other's houses and they break bread and they do a lot of things together. But I realized that that was some of my own upbringing that, I don't necessarily have to carry that forward, but that's where it came from. Trying to think of another one, but that's a big one for me because a lot of people are talking about community. And I think when the young lady said, back in the day, community was different, right? Community members could say something to your kids and help raise you. I didn't really grow up with that particular piece of it. I think that I was just told to respect adults to a certain extent, because I think those things of respecting adults often, this is a trigger warning, y'all. Sometimes that got certain people in trouble, right? Because adults didn't always do the right thing. A lot of people have been, you know, physically harmed by adults because of being taught, you need to listen to your elders, and you're not expecting your elder to hurt you. You're not expecting your elder to sexually assault you, to molest you, to do any of those type of things to you. So to a certain extent, a big one, hugging someone. So some kids have been taught, go ahead, go give Uncle such and such a hug. I've now come to understand when a child is uncomfortable with hugging somebody or doesn't want to sit on someone's lap, you shouldn't make them, right? But there was a time where things were different. It was a time where people didn't think like that. And, it's unfortunate that certain individuals' behaviors and, harming young people have made it where you don't even want your kids to go spend the night at some people's houses because you don't want anything to happen to them. Those are those type of things that linger from past trauma from certain family systems. And it's like, how do you address that? And how do you talk about that? How do you keep each other safe? And sometimes the only way to keep your child safe is you just can't spend a night over no one's house. Um, and I don't think until I got older, it was explained to me why my mother was uncomfortable with that, why she didn't want me to spend the night over people's houses. And a lot of that stuff is connected to trauma. Um, and it's like, how do we break that cycle? Especially when sometimes the secret is somebody did that and no one addressed it. No one made that child feel safe. The amount of clients that I have, that's Queen Sheba. She's signing on right now, y'all. The amount of clients that I've had that have reported, telling and sharing that they were harmed and weren't believed is mind-boggling to me. The number of people who have a story of being sexually assaulted is mind-boggling to me. The amount of women who've been sexually assaulted is mind-boggling to me. It's just like, I wish that there was a way to ensure that these things never happen, but we also want women to feel safe, to walk the street, to be able to wear whatever they want to wear when they want to wear it. And the world is not always, you're not able to always do those things, but we're fighting often just to be able to be safe and to be able to be authentically ourselves no matter what. And I don't really have an answer for all of this, y'all, except for, I'm here to listen to people's stories and help them process it and help them make sense of things that sometimes don't make sense. And that's just hard. It's really, really hard. So tonight's episode is just grounded in a lot of that because so many people are walking around with a trauma story. I also listened to a lady on Instagram. She goes by the Capacity Coach, and she has talked a lot about not letting your trauma story be the story that guides you and to build capacity and to be able to move past it. So we're gonna talk more about that. But my guest is finally in the back office over here. She's in the green room. And so let me tell you a little bit about her. For first of all, she was on my wish list. I have been to three hip hop versus poetries here in Boston. And each time I had a wonderful time. It's a well put together show. And I have Chief the Poet, Amanda Shea, and Amanda Shea was also co hosting. And this is how I learned about Queen Sheba. And she is a two-time Grammy nominated spoken word artist. And what makes this so unique is that she's the first woman to get nominated back to back, first off. She's a poet, she's an author, she's a professor, and she's an activist her work bridges art, healing, and social justice. And in 2025, she released her 10th album, which was Civil Rights. The South has something to say. I'm sorry, the South got something to say. Now this is her 12th project that we're going to be talking about tonight, which is called A Hurricane in Heels. Heal people don't act like that. She has performed and been featured with Robert Grasper, who's also a Grammy nominated artist on the project F Your Feelings. She has been honored at the NAACP Image Awards. She has been named Atlanta's Spoken Word Artist of the Year, and she has numerous community awards for her cultural and social impact. Her journey from foster care to international stages, including performances at the Apollo, PBT's Lyric Cafe, and festivals in Africa and Europe and the Caribbean. She has reflected all of her work with resilience and her dedication to truth telling. She's a professor of creative writing at Clark Atlanta University. She has been mentioned and she has mentored so many of the next generation's writers and helping them publish some of their first books. She's known for her bold authenticity and her unapologetic storytelling. So I want to welcome Queen Sheba because she's finally here to Conversations with Coach La to the virtual couch. I hope the sound and everything is going to go right. I hope everything's just going to go as planned. And I'm going to bring her on the stage. And hey, and she,
Hello.
there you go. There's your sound. And
Hey, good. I'm glad.
I'm so
so
glad. I'm so glad you made it. I was just telling everybody that you were finishing up your show in Philly, and you are a busy bee.
Oh man. You gotta get it. It's like sleep while you did. Look, my edges is coming out.
I,
We were running around the stage. We had such a good time tonight. Such a
I,
great,
I am so
amazing time.
thankful that you were able to come on and just be able to be here with me because, like I said, you were on my wish list. I remember interviewing oh my goodness, my brain. I'm having another one of those brain fogs. But I was interviewing another poet and they were actually performing with you. And J Rose was
Oh,
performing.
she's right here.
Yo!
That's so funny. Then she came down here to
Oh my
surprise me.
Hey, so I was interviewing J Rose.
I can't believe you just said your name.
The last time I was on your show, I was in Atlanta.
Yes, I'm about to tell you the story.
That's so awesome. Look how the world works.
Oh my goodness. So I was interviewing her and she was getting ready to perform at your show. Same thing. She was like rushing from stage to get on the show. And I was telling her you were on my wish list. And yeah, so I've been.
Oh, that's so amazing. Look at the world.
fan-
And I told them all night too. I was like, I gotta get to this interview. We gotta end at 9. I mean, the poetry was so good. It
Yes.
was, oh, I love you too.
I love you.
I love you, J Rose.
Right, thank you so much. You were awesome.
You were amazing. The whole night was amazing.
Hey, thank you. Right.
I tell you. So
Yeah.
for everybody that's listening, y'all are probably like, what is going on right
I
now?
know. They were like, what just happened?
This is probably this is what happens when you have a Grammy nominated artist. You just make time, you make space, and you go with the flow. This is like once in a lifetime. Fabulous was talking about his son met Steph Curry, and
Oh,
Steph Curry
wow.
asked him to come and shoot with him. And he was like, nah, 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 nah. And his son was like, I didn't want to miss in front of everybody. And his father was, he was like, well, I'll do it next time. His father's like, when's the next time you're going to get a chance to shoot with Curry? So there's these moments where you just make it happen and
Yeah.
you show up and you just do what you do. So you have an extensive bio, first off. Like I was reading it, I was like, if I read your whole bio, it takes you know, but you have just been doing so much. You have so many projects. Your catalog is amazing. This new project that you have is just absolutely phenomenal. I've been
Oh, thank you. My
rocking.
heart and soul is in that.
Oh, I've been rocking it and listening to it. So I want to get into that. I want to get into who is Queen Sheba above and beyond this poetry and this spoken word. Like I know that this is your heart, but what is something that you want the audience to know that if they've never met you, never ever downloaded your work and they're hearing about you for the very first time, what is something that they can't go Google?
That I take risks that a lot of other poets don't in their writing. Like I don't dance around metaphor. I give you the story how it is. I have creative license, so sometimes I exaggerate for poetic fun or to get a point across, and um, I don't I don't metaphor a lot, so I take a risk in my writing where I think other poets might be afraid to. Some other poets, not all, but some other poets might be afraid to take that risk and really be vulnerable in their work. And I think it's becoming. I think poets are starting to feel more safe now that mental health awareness and being mentally healthy is something that people are starting to feel safe about and starting to feel safe talking in public about. So I think they're starting to write more about their trauma and their stories and solutions to them, where I have been doing that for a really long time because I didn't know another way not to throw myself off a bridge or in front of a car. Like I'm just out here living this poetry life and not really having a lot of guidance. And when things would go wrong, I'm like, okay, what do I do? Where do I go? Who do I talk to? Like what's happening? And it's tough, especially as a woman, especially as a black woman, especially as a black queer woman. It's crazy out here in the streets, and you really have to make your way. You
Mm.
really and there's no certain way to go in spoken word. Poets are in movies, they're in voiceovers, they're in commercials, they're in Broadway plays, they're in off Broadway plays, they're writing songs. So I mean, there's no one thing to do with a spoken word artist. A lot of PR agents are like, "What do we do with you?" Everything. is the answer. Everything. Whatever you want to do, I can do. So now that I've hosted for the Grammys, I can host for the Tony Awards, for the BET Awards, for the Emmy Awards. And so now I have that credibility where I'm not going to blurt out something crazy live on camera. Then I can be trusted in that arena. And so poets should be in those places. We should be hosting the the VMAs, the video, whatever is happening, the you know what I mean, the SBs. We should be everywhere that whoever is considered a celebrity, we should be there as well.
I love that. So you've been called one of the most talented writers in our genre, right?
Oh, give
How do
thanks.
you how do
Their
you
words, not mine.
personally describe your voice and your purpose as a poet?
My purpose has always been love. I've been a tough love type of person. When it comes to myself, I'm like, hey, get up and do this. You know, I'm, after 24 years of poetry, you wonder day to day, like, what's next? What do I do? Like, what's the next thing do I do? Do I throw another show? Do I go on another tour? Do I write another book? I have 11 albums. Do I do another album? It's like, because there is no path, there's also no gold star for climbing. You know what I mean? You do it because you love it, because you have the passion to do it, because you want to do it. That's it. There's nobody patting you on your back saying, "Oh, hey, you've been in this 5 years. Good job." Unless your community is celebrating you, you're doing it because you want to. And I just think that I've always wanted to be a career spoken word artist, a career writer. So I write everything, and that's what I want to do. I love it.
I love how authentic you are listening to your album, and the fact that a portion of it was done live at the City Winery. It really feels like a live show, right? And a story. You are truly a storyteller. So as the things are happening, you're like adding, I would say, vignettes or
Yeah.
snippets of what's really going on, and you're actually super funny.
Let me tell you something. I almost, only because I didn't want to confuse people about what album to vote for, but I almost cut the ad libs out and made a comedy album. I might do that next year. I really might,
Hey,
like, take all my
hey.
the ad libs in between the poems and make a comedy album, because I love comedy. And it's such a release. Because listen to this, poets, we take 3, 4, 5 minutes to talk about the story, and it's heavy, or even if it's funny, right? But comedians, we talk about it, we move on. Talk about it, move on. We hit it and
Mhm.
we move on. And I think sometimes that's so much better than lingering. And yeah, I love both. And I went to comedy school because I believe in learning the craft. I don't This is just my opinion. I don't believe that, unless I'm a prodigy, which I'm not at all, unless I can hear music and just play it, which I cannot. I'm horrible. I have no rhythm whatsoever. But unless I'm a prodigy, I have to study
Right.
my craft. I still go to workshops. I just went to whose workshop did I go to? I just went to somebody's workshop. Oh, yeah. I went to this author's workshop the other day, and she taught me a new way to memorize. I said, after 24 years, everything she was saying, I was like, done that, done that, done that. And she got to this one thing, and I was like, what? I was like, oh man. And she taught us a way to never drop a piece or a poem. She's the author, but same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She was teaching us
You
how
might, you
to.
might have to tell me offline because I'm still, I can memorize for the moment for that show.
I
I
can tell
cannot.
you right now. She said, especially, well, I said to her, I said, I wish I would have known this 20 years ago, because I could have saved a whole genre of poets from ever dropping a poem. So you take your poem, you memorize it the way you normally do, right? However you normally memorize a poem. Then you cut it up on paper, like literally physically cut it up, fold up those cut up parts, put them in a box, and you pull them out one by one and memorize those parts. Once you've memorized those parts, you'll never drop them again, because poets, especially, we always start over, start over, start over. So then we always remember the beginning. Of course, remember the end, because maybe we tied it up with a cute bow. We had a bar, we had a mic drop, something like that. But the middle, we're like, But when she said that, I said, wow. I don't know why. I've never heard of it. I never thought of it. Nobody ever told me that. And she's so true. She said, otherwise you end up in a continual loop of going back to the beginning, of going back to the beginning. I said, man, if you ain't never lied, you have never. So cut it up, put it in a box, and let me tell you, I have a TED Talk coming up October 17th, and I am going to practice. I'm going to memorize it like I normally memorize it. Then I'm going to cut it up. And she, talked about the mind palace and being able to put parts of the piece onto places in your house so that you memorize it that way as well. And then you can assign things to different parts of your house so that when somebody says, oh, give me the fireplace piece, and then you can go right to the fireplace piece. So you don't have to memorize in order. Now you can go part 1, part 5, part 6, part 7. So don't cut it up in like 100 parts. Cut it up in 5 or 6, and then you could say, hey, you know what? Go to part 7. Go to part 1. 8. Go back to 7. Go to 2. Go to 7. Go to 1. And so you'll never drop it again.
Uh,
Never. You'll never drop it. And it's in your head forever.
mm, I like that.
Me too. I said, I wish you would have told me 20 years ago.
I got it. So my favorite one is to record it and just listen to it like a song.
Well, that's one of the ways she talked about that too. But again, you start over, right? You start the song over. So you got the beginning, you got the beginning, you got the beginning, you got the beginning. So you do that, you put it in your brain. But how you know that you have something mastered and memorized is if you can repeat it in your head with your mouth closed without moving your lips, then you know you have it mastered.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
So spoken word is sometimes misunderstood as
Mm.
just performance. but your work shows it is deeply tied to healing and justice. How do you define spoken word as a healing practice? Because this is one of my favorite things. Because I'm a poet too, and I tie it to mental health. So, what do you think about that? How do you do it as a healing practice? Because it seems like every poem you write is a journal entry or
Right.
from your diary.
Especially this album. A Hurricane in Heels is definitely my most vulnerable album. And it's because you're the first person to hear you before you get on stage, before you practice it with your friends, before you call and leave it on their voice note or voicemail machine, before you share it with anyone. You're the one that hears you. And so if you're not offering yourself a solution, a way out of the problem, and for those who don't know me, I have poems and short stories from everything to my moon cycle to living in a roach infested apartment. And I made those things funny, but really the moon cycle poem, which is called the real period poem, is about me having um endometriosis. That's what it's really about, right? And which is a very harsh disease on the woman's body from not eating right, from too much sugar, from too much carbs, from not drinking enough water, from genes, from biology. And then living in a roach infested apartment, that was my experience when I moved south to Atlanta. That was one of my first experiences. And it was nobody's fault, it was nobody's problem, it was just where I lived, you know?
Mhm.
And I had to laugh about it before I cried. There were roaches everywhere.
Good
Also
Lord.
had to make it funny before I passed out and threw everything away and set the apartment on fire, So
Yeah.
but there always it's always an undercurrent of social politics. So even the Roach poem, but it's not even a poem, it's a story, it's a hilarious story. Um, the undercurrent is, why are there an influx of roach infestations in lower economy and neighborhoods where people look more like us? Why?
Yeah.
I mean, we're in the South. It should be equal roaches for everybody, or none. How about that? Or
I told you she was funny. She said
none.
roaches.
Equal roaches for everybody,
What
or none. Like, why is it that we have McDonald's, Wendy's, et cetera, rats and roaches, where up in Buckhead they got Sprouts and Publix, and we got
Yeah.
rotten fruit from Kroger that's been sitting there for 4 days.
One of the poets here, um, Donnell, Brother D, had posted a video. He was shopping, forgot which supermarket it was, but they had molded bread, and it was just on the shelf. He like literally did a video, and he was like, "This just shouldn't happen." But this brings me to my next segment, because we're gonna talk about this, which is, what does therapy mean to you? And I want to sort of talk about the album, right? The title of this album is A Hurricane in Heels. Heal People Don't Act Like That. It's such a bold title. What inspired that title and this body of work?
So what's interesting is, initially it was called Heal People Don't Act Like This, because I was talking about myself, right?
Mhm.
But then when I made the t-shirt, people didn't want to wear a t-shirt that had accountability. So I changed it. Yes. It
So
was crazy. So if you had on my t-shirt, well, this is the wrong one, but if you had on my t-shirt that said "Heal People, a Hurricane in Heels, Heal People Don't Act Like This," you're talking about yourself. And so then people are going to be like, what do you do? Starting a conversation about you. And so people were like, I want that. So I offered options, and people were buying "Heal People Don't Act Like That," but which I could still talk about myself, right? But they didn't want immediate accountability. They wanted to be able to deflect and then be able to say, oh, someone over there feels like this about this, and without talking about themselves. And I was like, that is crazy. But the name of the album is Sometimes I Feel Like what was it? It was the Tasmanian devil, right? That's just running through things, wrecking life. And the last couple years, I don't know. I just haven't got it right. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And I've learned through therapy that I don't know is a lie. You take out the I and the don't, and you have your answer, which is no. So I'm not sure exactly why I'm in the situation I'm in. There's several small reasons, and I'm having a hard time facing myself and making the decision I need to make, which is adult and healthy, to get myself out of the situations that I'm in. And they're heartbreaking and they're sad and they're heavy, and you can't be inspiring and you can't receive inspiration when you're feeling heavy, right?
Mm.
And
Woo, you just brought a whole mouthful to what this whole episode is about, which is the power of the pivot. I was waiting for you, so you missed that. So just to kind of bring it full circle, which is how do we, the first part of this season 8 series was about rising above the adversity. And you are opening up the part 2 of this series, which is about reclaiming. And talk about the universe, right? But reclaiming your time, your power, your energy, and how do you go about doing that, right? And I was saying before you got on, there was 2 things that happened that I saw. A young lady pushed an elderly woman off of a public bus here, and it got recorded. And she had a baby carriage, and it just seemed like she was having a whole moment. She was telling the lady to move and got frustrated and just literally pushed her off the bus. And so that, and then there was a video showing all these different people that were clearly on fentanyl, and they were doing the fentanyl fold, and just the state that we are with addiction across the nation, right? That you find pockets like this, and how it was, disheartening. And one of the videos was saying, hey, the politicians are making us think that the world is better here in Boston, for instance, and it's not. And people's kids. She made another person made a comment about people's kids being outside and cursing and just being disrespectful. And I was saying, well, whose responsibility is this, right? Who do we blame? Is it the politicians? Do we need more rules? Somebody was saying the lady need to be put in jail, but I'm like, that's clearly frustration. That's coming from someplace for her to get that frustrated to push this lady, this elderly lady. And as a therapist, I'm getting a lot of different things that people bring to session. And I'm like, is there ever going to be a time where there's not pain, there's not hurt?
no, because we keep passing it on.
And that was,
We keep being passive aggressive and passing. There have been times in the last 2.5 years I've noticed myself being passive aggressive. Like, why are you doing that? She'd be like, why aren't you just saying what you want instead of throwing an adult temper tantrum to try to get what you want? Like, that's not cool. You know what I mean? And I think we learn inadvertently, subliminally, through social media, throw a temper tantrum and you'll get what you want. You know what I mean? And I don't think that we think that, oh, if I throw a temper tantrum and get what I want, but it's subliminal messaging. You know what I mean? And act spoiled and you'll get what, no, grow up. And I have had to have a long, hard talk and look at myself. The other thing is, and until you are in alignment, and I'm talking to myself, y'all, until I'm in alignment, things will not go well. They won't go well because you're going to be in fight or flight, and you're going to be worried about being in alignment the whole time you're not in alignment. And I know, listen, y'all, I know sometimes it looks easier to stay in comfort, stay in the job, stay in the relationship, but it's not, because the long-term effects of staying somewhere where you're not happy or flourishing, maybe you're happy, but you're not flourishing to your full potential, and you don't even know what your full potential is because you're not letting God lead. You're leading.
Right. So one of the things, poetry, that I love about your poetry is that transforms pain into purpose, which I think a lot of poets do that.
Yeah.
Spoken word validates identity, affirms survival, and fosters connection. And I think one of the reasons why I gravitate to poetry and why I created Poe Therapy is I think it's one of the spaces, true spaces that's still left where you can be authentic and talk about whatever you want, and not necessarily get canceled. Although
Oh my
comedy,
God.
comedy, was like that too for a while. But folks,
No, poets are trying to cancel other. I got dragged twice this year.
I was just about to say, although it's starting to get more and more where it's like people take
Yeah.
away your
It's,
freedom of speech.
and to me, it's so crazy. It's like you want to drag you want to drag anybody on social media before having a full-on conversation. Now, I understand the A-listers, the attorneys talk to the attorneys, so they drag people because they can't really get to them, right? So I get that, but people that are accessible, poets who are accessible, comedians that are accessible, have a conversation with them first, clear the air first. I just talked to somebody the other day about a misunderstanding we had about a Women's History Month show that I was throwing, and she said, "Yeah, the only reason I didn't go to social media," and I said, "Why would you go to social media? You could have just called me." And it's just a generation that just feels like that's their just due, and it's not. You're hurting more than just that person, and that needs to be understood.
Yeah, I am heavy tonight with this show because I feel like I've been taking in a lot of content, and it just seems like no one really knows what the solution is, but everybody knows what the problem is, right? And I often think the first step is check oneself. Remember that, check yourself before you wreck yourself. I just feel like a lot of times we're not self-reflective. And it's funny that you bring up the t-shirt. People didn't like it because it was a level of accountability. And I often will say, as a therapist, I have tools and skills and I'm trained, but that does not exempt me from the human experience.
Therapists have therapists, lawyers have lawyers,
Right,
doctors have doctors.
right. Like I still experience anger, frustration, sadness, all of the things I experience. I just may not react to it as someone who, AKA, heal people don't act like that. I might actually choose something else. So let's talk about that poem, right? The one that you did, Heal People Don't Act Like That. Um, I don't even know if you could do that piece. I was trying to find it so I could play it, but I couldn't get a clip, and I should have asked you for it so I could have played it on the
I
radio.
think, yeah, I'm on my computer. I can find it.
Um,
Let's see.
so one of the things you said, I think it might have been more the ad lib, or maybe it is in the piece where you like, a healed person, and I said this before you came on, doesn't react to their partner having their phone flipped over.
Oh yeah, that's in the poem.
Yes. So this poem, I know for me, I was like, wow, this poem, I need to have my clients listen to it because there was so many elements about triggers,
Mm-hmm.
and things that sort of throw you off. Um, it throws you off from being maybe your authentic self. But how have you used your poem? And you're saying right now you're in some situations, I don't know if you're going to talk about them, but where your poetry is reflecting your real life. Because and one of the things you're like, I don't know if I'm still going to even be in this relationship on Sunday, and you kept that in there. And
No, let me tell you something. There was a part that the person that it was about, there was another part that made it more specific, and only that person would know. Well, maybe like a couple of my friends. And I was asked to take it out, and I was angry. I was like, wait a minute, this is my art. And it was at the end of the album where I was like about to send it off to be mastered.
mhm.
And I was like, yo, I'm only letting you hear this because it's done, not because I'm asking for your opinion. You know what I mean? But I compromised and cut out 3 words where it was like maybe like a half a sentence that kind of specified who I was talking about. It didn't make or break the banter, but I regret it. I regret taking it out because it was a shock to the chest. And I still have it like in the original, you know what I mean? But I regret taking it out because I regret allowing, because I made the decision, allowing someone to alter my art. Because if I would have went to said person's job, I couldn't say, hey, can you move that chair to the left because I don't like it? You know what I mean? So that's one of those things where, as a healed person, I should have been able to say, look, I know this makes you uncomfortable, but this is my art and this is my experience, and this is how I'm reflecting my experience. So
Yeah, I remember you might have heard this when Jay-Z and Beyonce did that album, her album. It might have been, which one was it? Lemonade, one of the ones where she was talking about the cheating and how he was a part of that creative process and what she talked about. And Chief, the poet, had talked about, oh, don't date a poet. Oh, it might have been Amanda Shea.
all of us.
And you might end up in a poem.
Yeah, I think it's a coffee mug. Don't date a poet, you might end up in the. I think it's a coffee mug, a T-shirt, a scarf, a billboard.
Yes,
I think it's
right.
everywhere.
I'm like, don't date any artist for that matter, because I mean,
Right.
you can show up in an R&B song too. I mean,
Right.
it's a reflection, and they say we write our best work when we're going through stuff.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, half of Mary J. Blige's album is connected to stuff she went through. So, what do you mean?
Absolutely.
So, um, it
Well,
makes
I'll just say about that banter, that interlude. So on the album, you all, it's the interlude right before Donald 45, 47, where I was in Chicago City Winery, and the part that was taken out was an audience member. I'm bantering, and that part's still in there. The part that was taken out was an audience member said to me, because I said, "Hey, do you guys have any dating advice?" That part's still in there. And then the joke about, "Hey, go home with a sandwich," because I'm like, "Hey, I don't know if I'm gonna, still gonna be together." And what's toxic about the reality of that is that we've been back and forth 15 times since April when I recorded that. Like, it's just like, come on, Sheba. I can only blame myself, right? And it's like you say to yourself, "Oh, I don't know what to do." No, you know what to do. You just
yeah,
don't need to.
yeah.
You,
I had
you don't want to. So the part that was taken out, one of the audience members, yelled up because I was, encouraging discussion and dialogue. One of the audience members said, "Were you happy?" So this is the part that was taken out. And I said, "Oh, that's a great question. Was I happy?" I was happy for 6 months out of 2 years. And so when said person heard that, they were like, "Oh my God, can you take that out? That's too specific to us." And I'm like, "You're the only one out of millions of people in the world who's gonna know that." And so I guess she's concerned that if people would see us out together, they would immediately associate that dialogue. And I could see that being uncomfortable, but I don't think if you saw us walking down the street, Coach LA, your mind is going to go to the interlude and be like, "Aha, that's you." You know what I mean? I don't think people are doing that, but maybe, you know what I mean? So I compromised and cut that little part out, but I regret it. I will say that.
It's interesting because what does that really mean? It can mean a lot of things. And I think this goes back to perception. And how do we move forward in healing, right? And what does that look like? Does that look like denying the truth and not admitting that that's what was happening and actually bringing that to the forefront and having this discussion about it? Or do we act like it didn't happen? This episode is about reclaiming. And sometimes reclaiming your truth it makes someone else uncomfortable, but do you not say it? And I
It
think
makes me, well, yeah, it made, her uncomfortable, but it, my ultimate decision that I know probably needs to happen is gonna make me uncomfortable because I'm exhausted and I feel like it was a beautiful lie, but it was all been a lie. And that sucks because I was in on the lie from the beginning. And you can't go anywhere if the beginning is a lie. There's no, I mean, because it's always going to be that pee that you sleep on the mattress, that the princess sleeps on. I don't know if y'all know that story, but it's always going to be that pee under the mattress that just is like, y'all could be 50 years in. But I always believe that, and I have another poem that addresses that. It's called the ick, right? It's the ick when you're starting to fall out of love with someone, but you're not all the way out, but you should be out. You're just like, I hate the way you breathe. And
this is tough. But I'm wondering, right? if all of this is about healed people don't act that way or act like this, how is that connected? Like when we are supposedly staying in something too long, or we're tolerating something too long, and then we say I'm falling out of love. Like, is that
Well,
is
each poem offers a solution at the end. So when I write, I always offer a solution. It might not be your solution and it might not be the solution, but it's the solution that I've come up with, at least for me. And hopefully it's helped someone listening to it. So at the end of each poem, you said you listened to the album. So at the end of each poem, there's a, hey, do this, or you could do this, or you could do this, or you could do this, right? And I also always tell people, just because we wrote it, and I think I wrote a blog about that this week. Just because you wrote it, that's the first step. Congratulations. Congratulations, you wrote it. Now you have to do the steps to get to the healing process. You wrote it, now you got to face the mirror. Now I always say you got to ask Chat GPT to help you write the escape plan. So you ask ChatGPT to help you write the escape plan. ChatGPT, help me write, how to find an apartment. When should I move? How much money do I need to save? And that sounds silly, but writing it out sometimes makes it less overwhelming than it feels. And
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, having the plan is one thing, right? But having the courage
mm,
to execute the plan,
that is, I can't talk about it, but that is what my TEDx talk is about. It's called The
right?
Spark. And it's called, it talks about courage. And I have to memorize it. And hopefully, as I'm memorizing this TEDx talk that I'm going to do on October 17th, and and we're allowed to talk about where because we want people to come, is at Georgia College, 89 miles east of Atlanta. So come through. I hope that I'm going to give myself the courage to do what I'm telling myself to do in this TED talk, because I need it.
Yeah.
I need it. I wrote the album. I wrote a book called Clemency. They're both released. Now I have this TEDx coming up, and I hope it gives me the courage to do what I don't want to do.
I got you.
And
Now, you have enough time to
yeah,
stay on here a little bit longer.
sure,
At like
absolutely.
2 minutes, I have to do a commercial break,
Sure.
but we can
I
stay.
can read the poem for you when we come back.
Yes, so that we can get our full time, because I do want to ask you a couple more questions, and I definitely want to talk about your bet on self moment. And I got to do Coach's Corner. So for all you guys that stuck around, I know some of y'all are still listening. We're gonna go a little over tonight, but it's not all the time that I have a two-time Grammy nominated artist on the couch with me. So
And
um,
we praying for three, y'all. We pray. This year is
it's
tough.
I mean, but yeah, there's a lot. Princess's album is fire too. And then we also got Kira J. I don't know. Did she also submit hers? Ah, yeah.
So did Saul Williams.
Ah,
So
I've
did, so did Omari Hardwick and Anthony Hamilton together.
I didn't know about that. I didn't know about that. I didn't know about that.
Yeah,
But guess what? It's going to be a great category.
it's gonna be a
Say
great
this.
category.
Let's just say this: the category ain't going nowhere, baby, because y'all coming heavy, heavy. Oh, hold on. Here we go.
Expect the unexpected. Unorthodox radio from Boston and beyond. Heat981fm.com and iHeartStation.
All right, y'all. Y'all know y'all still tuned into Conversations with Coach Lau, your favorite around the way therapist. I know I usually tell y'all this, but in case you forgot, he is the only Black-owned radio station on the iHeartRadio platform. So y'all, check that.
Oh, hello.
Yes, we are the only one in Boston on the iHeartRadio platform. So shout out to everybody that's tuned in through iHeartRadio, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, LinkedIn. Did I say that one too? Yes, all y'all. I appreciate y'all every week and all the support, all of the sharing. I really, really, this is episode 135. So I appreciate y'all. So yes, I appreciate y'all so much. So one of the questions that I have for you, you've navigated layers of identity, and that is all interweaved, all of your work, all of your different pieces. You've shown different elements of your own personality, from being a Black woman, a womanist, being adopted, being queer, being a poet, being educator. How do you think these intersections shaped your work and your resilience?
Oh, because once I sign on to something, I'm gonna advocate for it. Just like the Grammy category, just like spoken word artists having music with their poetry. So once I decide to be an educator and what I'm going to educate about, I'm gonna go full throttle. I'm going to try to be the best educator that I can. Once I know that I want to be a social activist, not a social media activist, a social activist, then you can always call on me for womanist, feminist, black woman, queer, um, any issues that support those causes and support can mean a million things. We can, talk about that. I think with gay pride rights, um, fair and equal wages, housing, food, shelter, clothing. It's insane the amount of access between the poor and the rich, the middle class. Everybody should have clothing, food, and shelter, clean, fresh water. And it's insane when somebody doesn't. And so that's what I advocate for it, because there's only me. There's only me. I have a son, and then I have two grandchildren. And so my lineage is with him. My name stops, my last name Rem stops with my son, with Freeman. And so, the world is where I decide to keep giving forward, not backwards, because it's so important that people leave a place, leave a campground, leave the world, leave the water, leave your neighborhood better than when you found it. And that's what I think the purpose of life is. Um, I don't know. One day I was in England, of all places, and I was like, you know what? I think the purpose of life is to leave life better than we found it. Better for the next person, better for the next generation. Tech, IT, information systems, math, sciences, the Grammys, whatever. I think our job is to leave it better, not more jacked up. And right now,
Yeah,
I,
oh, we
yeah,
we doing some we doing some damage. We really are. And I feel like, in every element, because again, this episode was all about the foundation of faith and spirituality, which I think you also have interweaved into everything you do. But that being said, let's go ahead and read that poem.
I thought I was healed. I thought time had worked its magic. Thought silence meant peace. I thought the 2 year gap between heartbreaks meant I was whole again. Nobody told me healing ain't the absence of pain, it's the ability to stand still when it comes back. I don't stand still. I poem, I marathon, I cycle, I run, I fly far, fast. I outrun the questions. I outwork the doubt. I hit a new city before the echoes of the last stage have settled. Book another tour before I've unpacked from the last one. Anything to keep from sitting with the silence. If I stop for a second, the quiet might tell me something I don't want to hear. Read books like The Body Keeps the Score, but skip the parts that sounded too much like me. Quote, as long as you keep secrets and suppress information, you are fundamentally at war with yourself. End quote. I read that line and turned the page like if I didn't linger, it wouldn't apply to me. Quote, traumatized people chronically feel unsafe inside their bodies. The past is alive in the form of gnawing interior discomfort, end quote. And ain't that something? Ain't that why I go hard in the gym, push past exhaustion, turn my body into an unbreakable thing? Not because I love the work, because my delusion of grandeur tells me the Olympics will call again. Because if I can control this vessel, maybe the ghost won't know where to find me. I close the book when the words hit too close, pretend I don't see myself in those pages, listen to podcasts about self love like the Black Girl's Guide to Self Care. One hand, Black girl, amen, at you are already good enough, and borrowed the hoodie off a Houston poet's back. True story, and deep down wondered if that really applied to me. I be real good at pretending like I'm unbothered. True Leo flex, exuding pride and confidence. Beneath the surface, there's a tsunami of self doubt, a fear of vulnerability, a need for control. Love knocked again, called actually. Suddenly, I ain't know where to put my hands, what to do with the quiet, how to let a person breathe without holding my own breath. The first time they don't text back fast enough, I'm pacing like it's a hostage situation. The first time they say, I need space, I start measuring exits, checking fire escapes, packing my bags in my head like I knew this was coming. I be real good at pretending I'm unbothered, but my body keeps receipts overflowing in my armrest, spilling out of my glove box. I walk like I got free will, but my feet still follow the patterns I swore I broke. I swore I covered with the snow, and I'm from Michigan. I love like I ain't afraid, but my hands tremble when I reach for something or someone that might stay. So I tell myself, healed people don't act like this. Healed people don't get triggered by someone putting their phone face down at dinner. Healed people don't assume absence is abandonment. Don't treat affection like a loan they might have to pay back without interest. Healed people don't flinch at good morning text because they've read that script before and know how it ends. Maybe healed people just ain't been tested yet. Maybe we don't know who we are until love asks us to prove it. Maybe I suck at relationships. Or maybe I just ain't as healed as much as I thought I was. Either way, my baggage claim is full, y'all. And I can't keep pretending I don't know who it belongs to, but it's mine. And I can unpack it one piece at a time in my own time. Poem. Thank you. That is on A Hurricane in Heels.
Yes, yes. One of the pieces that I was like, wow. Again, I'm gonna have my clients listen to that. So, can you take us through the creative process of that piece? Where were you emotionally and spiritually when you wrote it?
I was about to cry just now, actually, thinking about just where I am. So after my ex passed away from breast cancer, during that time, I was really lonely. Cancer patients, I did a lot of reading about cancer patients.
I'm
Either,
sure.
Good, thanks, I appreciate that. She passed of breast cancer before she was 40, so please get checked, y'all, men and women. Especially if you feel a lump, go immediately. She did not go immediately. We did not go immediately. We let it. Oh, we're busy. We're working, and we went later, and she was already at stage 3. So after she passed, during breast cancer, during her cancer journey, I was very lonely. She decided to go see the world. It was during the pandemic. I was extremely lonely and depressed, and we were going through it. So cancer patients either do one of two things with the person that they're closest to. They either latch on and become the most amazing person in the world and make amends, atone for, or they become complete havocs. And I got the latter. I was abused in all the ways that you can think of. And it's really hard to talk about because she had cancer. And so it's hard to talk about, someone that's passed away and people are like, oh my God, don't, it's just, so where do I go?
Yeah.
What group is there? I was in therapy, but talk therapy it didn't do it. I was on Lexapro and Paxil, and we're talking about the pandemic. I'm by myself in the house. She's got breast cancer. I'm being abused. I'm in the house with her ex-girlfriend's nephew as a roommate. And it was a horrible 18 months, 2 years. She flew all around the country, all around the world to try to find healing for her cancer. I helped her raise money, and I just got the backhand, literally and figuratively, to everything. It was a devastating experience. So I was very lonely during and 2 years after. And then I met someone else, and I was coming out of depression. Um, in 2022, I did not leave my bed unless I had to, and I messed up everything. I messed up my job at Clark, and luckily, my boss loves me. Shout out to Dr. Bess, and she covered for me as much as she could. I was able to come back, but I had to promise her that I would get my act together in 2023, and I did. And I gained like 35, 40 pounds. I'm talking about Uber Eats and GoPuff. That's all I was eating. I bought a dog, and the dog, since she was a puppy, I had to walk her twice a day. So I started getting back into health and fitness, which is crazy because I've run like marathons. I used to run, cycle, like I'm was fit. I was in horrible depressive state. And when I met a young woman, a woman after that, I was so desperate. I'm going to use the right words. I was so desperate to be seen, to be loved. I accepted what was offered instead of what I deserved. And I agreed. It's not her fault. I agreed to it. She was upfront. She was dating someone and said she was on her way out. Ironically, she actually was on her way out. And I was like, I've heard that story before, but she actually was on her way out. But it didn't matter because there was still that intersection, And once you have that intersection, like I said, you're always sleeping on a pea under your mattress. And it just never went away. And when I wrote this album, Healed People Don't Act Like That, because healed people don't act like that. You set healthy boundaries and say, hey, I got a crush on you. You got a crush on me. I'm single right now. You're not. Holler at me when you're done. Holler at me when your plate's clear. And if you're really on your way out, it should just be a minute, right? Mm-hmm. That's what a healed person would do.
Woo, you didn't set a mouthful. I need like a whole 2 hours because we can just unpack all of these different tracks. But
But I didn't.
Time is of essence. And I know we're getting close to having to wrap up the show, but
and so I wrote this album. So that's where all this album
came from. And I think that a lot of people can relate. I know I can relate. I think when I was sitting listening to it, it was a reflection of sessions, my own life. It was just so many elements that you can connect to that everybody needs to go download and listen to it. That was just one of my favorite pieces is Heal People Don't Act Like That. But it's on all platforms. So I want everybody to go and listen to the whole thing. And not to mention, you got shows happening all over the place. You're in Philly now. I know you have. When's the next show coming up? Where are you going to be?
So I have my Atlanta shows next. I have an Atlanta listening party on September 24th in 10 days. Actually, it's Wednesday. It's Sunday. So it's a Wednesday at the Betty. It's a beautiful venue. And then I have my 10-year anniversary for Poetry versus Hip Hop. And after that, Poetry versus Hip Hop is staying in Atlanta unless somebody cuts a check because it is a huge production. And it was just, costing a lot to take. Yeah, it was costing a lot to take on the road. There's like 15 to 18 people in each show. And it's a lot.
It is definitely. I've been to 3 here in Boston.
Good.
Yes. One of them was on my birthday. It was the July 10th show. So
yeah, okay.
It was my birthday.
I attract cancers. Yeah.
Yes. I'm awesome. So let's talk about the Bet on Self moment. Let's go ahead and get into this because I think this will sort of wrap everything up in a nice little bow.
Sure.
Because Bet on Self moments you may or may not know. So let me tell all of the people who have never been on my show before. These are those moments in your life that you decide, despite your situation, despite your upbringing, despite your past, despite what people told you could or couldn't do. Those are those defining decisions where you choose healing, growth, and change, even when it's uncomfortable. And it sounds like you are on the verge, on the cusp, on the tippy toe of a lot of Bet on Self moments. So currently, past, future, tell us about where you are and what's the next best Bet on Self moment for yourself.
Like literally?
Literally.
Oh Lord. Okay.
Like, what do you think about that when you hear what it is? It sounds like you've been telling us about one that's about to come up. That's what it feels like. It feels like you're on the verge of a bet on self moment.
I am. I struggle with separation anxiety. I struggle with being lonely, not alone, but lonely. I like being alone sometimes. It's me and my German Shepherd. I love my current partner. Best thing that's happened in my life for the most part. And I think right now my address is Raleigh, North Carolina, but I'm not living there. And I say living there in air quotes because I'm suffering there. Atlanta has the heartbeat that I need, the art, the livelihood, the vibration of the city, and the triangle, the Raleigh, Durham, Cary, Greensboro area is for tech, it's for construction, it's for IT. It's not breathing the art or opportunities that could be in Atlanta. I love Atlanta. I love Atlanta. You talking about advocate for? I love Atlanta, and I tried with Raleigh. I'm suffering in a lot of ways. And when I say a lot of ways, I want you to think of all of the ways that you could be suffering. And I'm suffering in all those ways. And I'm afraid that I will. Oh, I'm about to cry. I cannot believe I'm about to cry on your podcast. On your show. I'm sorry. I apologize.
It's both. It's a live radio show / podcast. It's all good.
I am afraid that I'm going to lose my partner because she is a deflective, shutdown, withdrawal personality. And kind of out of sight, out of mind. She doesn't do a lot of, hey, here's a picture, here's a video. That's me, you know. Hey, here I am. I'm in Chicago. I'm in Ukraine. That's me, right? It's not a lot of that reciprocation. And so I think the love bombing stage is over, where we both did that in the beginning. And I just think that the distance is gonna ultimately kill the relationship. And so this is where I struggle with, am I manifesting it or am I predicting it? Am I manifesting it, predicting it, or I just know it's going to happen? Is it discernment or is it prediction? So I believe I have strong intuition and strong discernment. And so I know I need to move back to Atlanta, like full-time, change my license plate, change my license full-time. I have a house there.
Is that where your partner is, in Atlanta?
No, my partner's in Raleigh, Durham. She owns a business that's brick and mortar, which is why I uprooted thinking that I could, I'm on my laptop. I could just live in Raleigh, Durham. It's not the same. It's not.
That's a tough decision.
It's not. I am Black. The triangle is not Black. It's not even supportive of Black. It's not even supportive of being gay. It's not even supportive of, it's very Trump. You know what I mean? It's not even supportive of civil rights. No pun intended. It's not even in support. Right. It's not even in supportive of poetry, art, live music in Atlanta. Even if I didn't want to perform, I could go somewhere and just chill at a,
maybe you got to create it.
I tried. I did. I tried for 6 months, and you're like, oh, that's not long enough. It just wasn't.
They weren't gravitating to it.
And I spent money on it. I didn't half step it. I had big features, spent money on it, had radio ads. The radio ads were $20. $20 on the radio. And was it Radio 1 as a matter of fact? Yeah. Radio. Oh, it was Radio 1. Yeah. So I mean, it just,
I guess you kind of have to stay, what do you call it? Stay tuned in how this goes.
Yeah. But I think my discernment is saying your love is not a contract to suffer. Another track on my album, love is not a contract to suffer. And I think when you're not happy, you know, unhappy people make people unhappy.
Mm,
Miserable people make people miserable. So if I'm unhappy, I'm going to make my partner unhappy. And that's not fair to her. She didn't put a gun to my head and say, "Hey, come to move to the triangle." We talked about it, but we didn't talk about it enough because we both had our rose-colored glasses on and, "Hey, we love each other. Let's move in and be lesbians." And
see,
and
there goes that humor again.
you know, they say, let's, you know, give them, you know, so we dated for 6 months and then moved in with each other. And we thought, and I can't say we, you're not supposed to speak for other people. That's another thing that heal people don't do. We don't say we, speak for yourself. Right.
Right.
But we did think that because of our age, we're both of age, we thought that we would be mature enough to handle the transition, but we didn't transition. We just jumped. And it was like, oh, okay, just go. Hey, figure it out. There's the grocery store. There's the dry cleaners. Go. And it just wasn't the same.
Yeah.
It
You
was
know what's so interesting about a bet on self moment? Because you doing what you're doing is a bet on self moment. You trying it and giving it a shot is a bet on self moment. You also saying, you know what? There's some things I didn't flesh out. And I think you mentioned a couple of good things: separation anxiety, sort of, what do you pick? Love, career. That's a tough one, right? Like at the end of the day, you got to have those elements that make you whole and make you complete. And if you feel like there's a piece that has to get cut off, what is worth the compromise, right? And I think ultimately I want to give you a lot of kudos, because I think even though this is hard, the fact that you're talking about it, expressing it, and looking at it is
Gotta go.
considering all the options.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're gonna I know you gotta go, right?
They said we're about to cut the lights off on you.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and wrap this. Wrap this because I'm so happy that you were here. So let's go right into the coach's corner. You guys have stuck around. Again, you don't always have somebody of your caliber on the show. We have all types of people, but I know you're busy, so you making time, I really appreciate it.
No, I really no. Thank you, but I really appreciate you being flexible and allowing me to come on a little late when the show was running behind for poetry. That is means a lot to me, and that's very integral. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that.
Thank you. It means a lot. So Coach's Corner is just all we just gonna wrap it up, and it's just our opportunity to really talk about what our takeaways are. What do we want people to sort of take away from this show? It's a moment to reflect and gather key takeaways. So we're gonna quickly do that. What is a takeaway? What is it something that you want people to take away from being in your audience, listening to your new album, just engaging with you in general? What do you hope people are taking away from your work and taking away from this conversation?
Believe in yourself. Listen to yourself first. Follow your heart and your discernment. Lead with God. Trust your instinct in your gut. When you see the pink flag, don't wait for the red one. You do not need to suffer in any relationship, if it's friendship, family ship, love, or a job, your church, your community. You can remove yourself, control your mouth. And what I mean by that is take a second. And if you feel like you're about to be reactionary, just say, what did you mean by that? So you can take a second to then process what they said and then come up with a healthy decision for yourself. Do not cheat on someone else. Cheating is cowardly. That's what I believe. You're not giving someone else the opportunity to make a healthy decision, either for the health of their body, HIV, hepatitis, whatever, COVID, for their health or for their mental health. That's not fair to them, and you wouldn't want somebody to do that to you. So be strong in knowing that you are absolutely 100% enough, and it's okay to be angry. The very last track on my album is Barbie on Fire. Cause come on, I get angry. That's cool.
Ain't that the truth? I know that's right. I
Yes.
know that it's so right. So I just want you guys to all understand every one of these episodes, and this one we went very, very, very deep. And I thank you for your vulnerability and just sharing all that you did and just opening up. But that is reflective in all of your work. So I'm not even surprised. But reclaiming begins with recognition, you everybody. Healing is not a solo act. It is a communal, generational, and a spiritual act. Faith doesn't erase pain. It transforms it into purpose. When you build on faith, you reclaim. So I really just want everyone to realize that this life be lifing. It is a journey. It is not all plain black and white. Therapy is not for everyone, but sometimes it's enough just to spark, just to open you up. I'm a big advocate for spoken word, for journaling. Pick up a piece of paper, a pen, and just let it out. Don't worry about what it sounds like. Don't worry about if it makes sense. But I'm telling you, it's such a release. And if you're bold enough, brave enough, go to an open mic and let it rip. And you might just realize just how much why we love poetry so much and why we find it so healing. So, Queen Sheba, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me on. And if any of you ever feel pulled towards suicidal thoughts or wanting to possibly think about committing suicide, please call 988 or your local suicide hotline, or a friend. It doesn't matter why you show up the next day. It could be superficial or it could be something meaningful and deep, but we want you here and we need you and we love you and we need you to show up every day. If I had committed suicide one time that I had thought about it, I would have never been able to make it to the Grammy stage to present awards to Sheila E., Michelle Ndegeocello, Samara Joy, and so many more. It was such an amazing, amazing experience. Or make these albums to hopefully help and heal not just one person, but maybe the world. Thank you so much. I hope y'all enjoy and love A Hurricane in Heels. Yes, there are some very emotional tracks, but there's some bangers on there too. You roll the windows down, and some bangers on there too.
I appreciate you, sis. You just don't know how much. And I'm thankful for you that you're still here. I'm thankful for your vulnerability and your authenticity, especially given that September is Suicide Awareness Month, because a lot of people are going through it and they don't understand 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. And they're just walking around with a lot. And as you guys know, I'm always taking new clients. I am here to support you. If any part of this conversation resonated with you, triggered you, you guys know how to find me on all social media platforms, and I do respond to my DMs. Therapist_Coach LA. I am truly your favorite around the way therapist, and if I can't help you, I will definitely get you in contact with someone who can, and at least send you in the right direction so that you can get support. So, thank you, everybody. Keep betting on self. We'll see you next week. And good night. Thank you again, Queen Sheba. I really, really appreciate you. Good luck with everything. And
Thank you so much. If you're a Grammy voting member, I can't tell you who to vote for, but I do have an album called A Hurricane in Heels in the spoken word poetry category for your consideration.
Yes, and please help me get to be one. I want to be in the category.
Yes. Oh, yes, absolutely.
Hook me up.
Go to my website, DM me, and I will hook you up.
Thank you. Good night, everybody. Have a beautiful week. Bye.
Bye.
Smoke House. It's the urban heat. Shout out to Coach Live. Coach LA, it's time to listen.